How you feel?
All this movement that's been going on. The Most High just been moving. It keeps me excited about what's next.
You've been a topic of conversations all around the world about your life. What do you think about those things? I mean, you are the spotlight. I'll tell you what I think about, and I'll let you respond. I think about God knows your desires. He knows the desires of your heart. And it couldn't be something that wasn't something that you wanted in your life. For people to know how special you were, how bright you were, how talented you are, how much you knew. It had to be something, because that's exactly what happened. To put you in front of the world, to put you, the spotlight on you in front of the world, to showcase you. I mean, what is all that about?
Like I said before, I always had this feeling of importance, but it just at the time it didn't make sense to me with how I always been. I would just isolate myself, quiet, and didn't care for the attention. I don't look for the attention, but just to see that manifesting in the short amount of time that it has been, I want to say it's mind blowing, because even with all the attention and the spotlight, I'm still being still and humble in all of that.
It's impossible for there not to have been some type of something in you, because you did express to me how you felt when you were younger, going through your life, and that you were always in the back scene or what have you, right? Or things you would do to derive attention, or which all kids want, right? But there had to be something very deep inside for the Most High to reward your faithfulness, your faith, to the degree that you are before everybody, the world. It couldn't just been that I didn't want no attention. Of course you wanted
Yeah, because he
attention.
just reminded me, I did have a desire to be seen
Yeah, of course.
because of how much I felt like I would just not so much.
You was overlooked.
Yeah, overlooked, and and I would just think like, oh, it's just middle child thing. Yeah, that is something that I've actually experienced. Like, okay, but I would just think that I didn't have the personality for it, to just be like, because I wasn't so outgoing and everything. So I'm like, okay, well, how could you want that, or how could you want to be that if you don't even step out to be seen, if you don't step out to have conversations and move around, and just for, even for me to, the Most High knowing me and knowing that, even with me still being me, not being so much forcing a personality on myself that I felt at a point in time that I had to do. Like, it got to a point where I'm starting to think to myself, oh, I have to try to force conversations. I have to try to force to be away, which I would be like deceiving myself. It's like, okay, you know how you are. And even when I would try to do that, it would just feel forced. It just wouldn't feel like I'm being myself. Now you're trying to force something on people. And now if people are expecting you to be a certain kind of way, they're expecting you to be all, jumpy and talking, and you really don't really care to have conversations like that. Now you seem like you're acting funny, So even with me just being me being me in the way that I am, and for the Most High to still put me on the main stage like that, is just like that desire being manifested, but in an empowering way, it's just something that I never expected. Like, just having some kind of acknowledgement.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because that was the word that came to me when you said be seen. It was actually acknowledgement. Acknowledge that I'm in the room. Acknowledge that I'm, because see, when you're growing up, you didn't feel you had that acknowledge that you weren't seen. It wasn't to be seen. It was to be acknowledged, right? I'm special. I'm somebody too. Yada, 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 right? So this is how I know this is important, because the Most High, the Holy Ghost, don't want the enemy to take away the desire accomplished that's sweet to the soul. He wants you to, the Most High through the Holy Ghost wants you to understand, I specifically did this because of your desire. Don't miss that. Don't draw back on the fact that, of course, you want to be acknowledged. Why wouldn't a person not want to be acknowledged, right? Why wouldn't, especially child growing up in a situation where there's other kids and maybe you weren't the one that were acknowledged? It happens all the time. So But the Most High wants to know, obviously, he ain't got no problem with it. He said, I got something for you, right? And now I'm not only your family going to acknowledge you, but the world's about to acknowledge you.
And it wasn't like my family just it was like constantly overlooking me, but everybody just moving around the way they was and just,
But you ain't got to say that though.
Yeah.
You ain't got to say that. You had your own experience, you felt your own way, and the reason why I'm staying on it is because of what has happened. So I have to acknowledge the Most High's movement in it to determine the depth of that issue you had. That's how I can determine it. See, this is remnant mind. I see what the Most High did and immediately alerts me if he did it to that capacity, the thing had to be that deep in you. Or if it wasn't that deep in you, it wouldn't have been that big. It wouldn't have been that big. It wouldn't have been necessary for it to be so combustible like it is. It wouldn't have been necessary. But it was necessary because it was that deep. And I don't want you to minimize that. I want you to embrace that. Yes, I was messed the heck up. That thing was deep in me because you have to acknowledge that he knew it so that you could take that blessing, so that you could take that healing, so that you could take that God with me because he did that just for you. It's like God says, okay, like you said there, my family didn't make me feel this way or this, that, the other, yada, 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 yada. That's not what this is about. It's about how you felt and about what they did or what they didn't do. They could have did everything right and you could have felt that they didn't. So God you think he would have stopped because he said, well, they did everything right. No, he said, she feels like this, regardless of what they did right or wrong. He didn't even think about that. He thought about you. He came to see about you. And you need to understand that. You ain't got to throw them other things out there to try to pacify people's feelings and all this kind of stuff. It ain't about nobody else. It's about you. Embrace it. Receive it. Understand your God is operating for you. You can't just say God for me, and then when you see it, don't let the enemy trick you and take what belongs to you. He did that for you, nobody else. Understand your God being with you.